Good afternoon. I'm Brent Babb with the U.S. Soybean Export Council. I'm glad to meet you today via this webinar. Today I'll highlight the supply and demand outlook for the U.S. soy and also highlight several of our major markets. We'll begin this outlook with the United States soybean supply and demand table. The consulting group ProExporter created most of these charts in the presentation with USDA data. The U.S. supply-demand table for whole soybeans is based on the May USDA WASDE report. In red on the far right side of the table is the new crop estimate for the 2021 marketing year. Area planted for new crop soybeans is projected to be 83.5 million acres. This is up quite a bit from last year's reduction to 76.1 million acres planted. And this decrease last year was clearly due to rain and weather issues that we had throughout the U.S. If we have a normal growing weather and trend yield of 50.3 bushels per acre, we would expect to harvest 82.5 million acres for production of 4.15 billion bushels, or 113 million metric tons. We still have most of the growing season remaining, but some industry experts have said this start to this year is top 5 in the last 30 years for the soy crop. The record U.S. soybean planted acres in the 17-18 and the 18-19 crop years of over 90 million acres are not needed again until China is back to importing 100 million tons of whole soybeans annually. The USDA forecast of 375 million bushel increase over this current marketing year for the new crop soybean exports totals over 2 billion bushels is expected to be coming after this year's harvest. Looking closer at major S&D factors in the U.S., this chart shows the volume of U.S. soybean crush and whole soybean exports. After 3 years during 2016 through 2018 of higher export volumes than were soybeans that were used for domestic crush, the market in the U.S. switched back to a larger crush in 2019 and is forecast the same in 2020. This happened due to the reduced exports to China. The next slide is a forecast of net exports, the import bubble chart for U.S. soybeans for the new crop 2021 marketing year. It's a busy slide, but there's a lot of good information in here. After accounting for each of the state's crush and the other use in state, the remaining soybeans are available to export, either to other states within the U.S. or mainly for exports. And this is noted by the shaded bubbles. The larger the bubble, the larger the surplus, such as in Illinois with the largest bubble available for export. States with clear bubbles import soybeans for crush or for feeding, such as in the southern U.S. and the state of Georgia for its large poultry industry. The clear bubbles on the coast represent the exported soybeans from the U.S. to foreign customers. And then you see some boxes that are detailing the U.S. soybean export numbers for major export areas for the new crop forecast. And these also show the last 2 marketing years. For the Gulf exports, we look at 1.2 billion bushels forecast in the new crop year. The Pacific Northwest, or PNW, is forecast to have 526 million bushels, and this reflects anticipated larger China imports. On the Atlantic and East Coast, 122 million bushels exported off of that part of the U.S., and then Mexico rail shipments of 117 million bushels forecast for the coming crop harvest. This chart also highlights a very efficient U.S. transportation system utilizing over 40,000 kilometers of river systems and 80,000 kilometers of rail systems. This enables cost-efficient transportation for U.S. export shipments that are also environmentally friendly. The U.S. soy industry remains open and ready for business. The largest export markets for U.S. soybeans are shown for the last 3 years. China remains the largest soybean export market for the U.S., even with the last 2 years of significant reduction. This list reflects a very diverse global export market for U.S. soybeans. The next chart is looking at U.S. domestic soybean crush. This chart is shown in million bushels in a stacked bar chart detailing U.S. soybean crush of soybeans, showing 20 years crush history by crop marketing years. The colors in the stacked chart for 2017 through 2019 detail the state where the soybeans were crushed. Note that Iowa is followed by Illinois as the two largest states for soybean crush. The U.S. soybean crush is growing slowly but steadily for the last 3 years as new crush plants open. Crush has exceeded 2 billion bushels for the last 2 marketing years. Here's another bubble chart, and it's measured in short tons, showing soybean meal net exports by state and from the coastal range forecast for the new crop marketing year. U.S. soybean meal export projections have been steady year over year. The Gulf and PNW exports of soybean meal are projected to grow in the new crop marketing year. Gulf exports of soy meal are forecast over 6 million short tons, and both the PNW and rail shipments to Mexico are forecast around 3 million short tons each. This slide shows the main U.S. soy meal export markets, with the Philippines as the largest market for U.S. exports. 7 of these 11 largest markets are in North America. Other key markets outside of North America include Vietnam, Japan, and Morocco. In this chart, we're looking at the percentage of U.S. soybean production exported as either whole beans, meal, or soy oil. The last marketing year in the U.S., we dipped down to 50% of total soy production exported. This was after 9 straight years of 55% or more of U.S. soybean production being exported, and this includes several years of over 60% of U.S. soybean production being exported to our international markets. There's lots of discussion on reduced travel and fuel consumption in the U.S. due to the coronavirus. So I'll give you a bonus slide on DDGS. This chart is U.S. distillers grain used with a 5-year forecast. The domestic use of DDGS is shown in gray, and the exports are colored in purple. The pandemic response, which greatly affected travel and reduced ethanol and distillers grain production in the U.S., shows a dip in the current marketing year. The forecast is for a swoosh, a slow but steady increase back to present status, with a multi-year tail to return to historic highs. The feed markets in the U.S. impacted by this small reduction in DDG availability will substitute soybean meal and additional whole corn for their feed. DDG production is forecast to decrease 4.3 million tons this year. This increasing soybean crush in the U.S. is sufficient to meet the domestic and foreign needs during this pandemic. And for the last slide, no U.S. soy production is complete until mentioning Phase 1 agreement with China. Here is a stacked bar chart history of several different agricultural products China has imported in the past. The information is shown in dollars. The high dollar values in 2012 through 14 were impacted by soybeans at $12 to $14 per bushel. This is just a fond memory for our farmers facing around $8 a bushel for soybeans today. China imported approximately 15 billion of the main ag products from the U.S. in 2019. So there's still a lot of work to be done to meet agreement targets in 2020. Soybeans are the main U.S. ag export for China, usually accounting for over half of the import dollar value. I would like to thank the International Grains Council for organizing the webinar today, and thank all of you for joining us. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.